Cool. Hello. Welcome back to the Academy.
Hello.
I'm here with Freezy. Today we're going to go over Sheik, the Ditto, and some other general points that we've identified in advance of the lesson. So just going to run through the student points quickly and sort of what I took from them. So I took your initial Discord message on what you said you wanted to cover, and this was I'm not screen sharing. I'll do that now.
Yeah.
This was my initial thoughts on what you'd said. So I'd said in response to this, I said we'll come up with some general rules for positioning in the matchup, how to apply pressure, and how we can use stage selection to mitigate weaknesses that you've got. Does this sound like a sort of good starting point for the Ditto? Sort of what you wanted to look at?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Just because I feel so you sent me some VODs of Joe Fish, and from watching them, I'd say you guys are probably very similar skill level. Like he's probably a bit better at the Ditto specifically, but like when I'm watching it, I wasn't like, oh, Freezy's getting blown up here. It was like the first game was really close, and I think just some small changes, and then the second one, it felt like you. Not to infer anything too much from your playstyle, but it felt like you got a bit frustrated.
No, I got very frustrated.
You did get very frustrated. So I'm not sure if it's maybe a good thing that it shows, because that's easy to sort of go, that's another thing. So that feeds into the second point where we wanted to talk about mentality issues. This was just from so you did the survey beforehand. And I just thought I'd suggest this as a point of let's have a general chat about mentality, specifically on confidence and executing game plans.
Yeah.
And then you've put out some points here about pressure of tournaments. Was this Joe Fish game a tournament, or was it just friend?
It was a tournament.
Okay. How to keep composure when ahead, and strategies for when you feel pressured to maintain a lead. Any tips how to deal with mental pressure and that affecting your movement, basically.
Yeah.
Obviously I think that feeds into the top point. I think that feeds into the stuff that I got from the VOD review, and I think that is an accurate self-assessment of some issues that you had, which is good, because some people, I think, aren't very good at identifying their mental problems. They're like, oh, I just choke and I've got no idea why. And it's like, well, I feel like you've got the start of what you need to work on here, which makes it a bit easier for us to work with. But mental stuff obviously is not the same as in-game stuff, because there is no yes/no answer, and I think you appreciate that from when we talked before. The best I can give you for mental game is just ideas, and you try them out and you see what works for you, because no matter how good your mental game is, there'll be a point where you're at a point further in bracket than you've ever got before, or you're against someone that you really, really want to beat more than anyone you've ever wanted to beat before, and you can't. You're just going to be throwing out moves. Like if it's Evo Grand Finals, the best players in the world are just still not really they're not executing at 100%, right? Like they're dealing with nerves, definitely.
Yeah.
And then the final thing, so just becoming more comfortable in self-analysis. Hopefully this will naturally happen from when we'll do a bit of chat beforehand, and then we'll do a bit of time on reviewing the stuff that you sent over, and hopefully sort of seeing the way that I've analysed it should just naturally give you ideas for how to analyse.
Yeah.
But we can sort of go over the specifics here that you've listed out, where you've talked about. When you say you've not really got an issue detecting big problems, what do you mean by that? Is that stuff like, oh, I keep versus Fox at low percent, I always dash attack, and that's something I always like. You're aware of like obvious mistakes. Is that what you're getting at? Do you want to elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah. So one thing, for example, from the set that I sent you, the one big thing that I took away the moment the set ended, I was too frustrated to apply it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I said instantly the moment I was done with it is, if I just rushed under platform and crouch canceled and just sat under a platform and just CC'd, things would have been so much easier for me, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So it's little things, or not, it's big things, like big game plan things like that I don't have a problem finding. It's just little things like micro situations with micro spacing maybe, or like timing issues, not understanding which move I should use in like a very specific situation. There's a lot of stuff like that I can point out to you with like multiple sets. Like I can see a bunch of micro problems, but I can never give the proper answer to what I should be doing. Right?
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to see what your general thought on this is. So, and then your approach on self-analysis, you said, is outdated, and you focus on technical errors a lot.
Yeah.
And then you've said that basically you need to be able to. The way when you're identifying technical errors, that's sort of like you're not quite playing the game, air quotes, yet. Like you're not fully playing the game as well as you should be. And then the bit you're at here is this is playing the game. Like this is playing your opponent, because there is a point where you can just out execute your opponent. But if I think more and more these days, everyone's got pretty good execution. So I think this is something you need to get better at, and being able to do it in game. So this will feed back into the above point. Being able to come up with these ideas mid game, I think, will probably help a lot with your tournament mentality, because you will have like a stronger base to build off of instead of. I think your base right now for mid game problem solving is like a bit shaky, maybe, or like you said, like you worked it out afterwards. You were like, oh, I should have just done this. Yeah. Or maybe even during the game you were thinking, oh, I keep getting hit in this situation, and you couldn't quite get to the solution fast enough, and then that not being able to do that makes you frustrated, where obviously if you're making the adaptation, you're not going to get as frustrated, because you're not getting hit as often.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go over all of this a bit. Let's start with some general idea. We'll start with point 2. We'll start with some general ideas on dealing with just nerves. This is what this sounds like to me, just nerves in general. Yeah. Dealing with frustration, I would say, is a different issue. So if we just go over nerves quickly. So the best way to get used to nerves, in my opinion, is to just try and make yourself experience them as much as possible. Which the obvious thing to do is just to enter as many tournaments as possible, and then by exposure to tournaments, your nerves will gradually get less and less. Why do you think you feel nerves? Is it like you're putting expectations on yourself and you really want to prove that the time you've been putting in is worth it? Is it like, oh, I don't want to lose to this person because it will be embarrassing? Or what's the where do you think the nerves come from? Or is it just like so I think, is it sort of like, is it positive, like, oh, I really want to win and it would feel really good to win, and I'm like excited nervous to get that? Or is it, oh, I'll feel terrible if I lose, like, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and I think I have my answer. I've been competing for close to 3 years now. And definitely my nerves come from a very, very negative headspace. Exactly because of that. I've been competing for close to 3 years now, and I've seen people come into my scene, do better than me, and that just makes me feel awful.
Okay.
You know, it makes me think, like, why have I put so much time to this game? Like, what am I doing? Come on, you gotta do better than this. You can't be playing this poorly, etc., etc. So
yeah, this is very relatable. I've been through this, and this is something that I don't let bother me anymore. this is sort of like a, I'm not saying it's a mean way, but it's like an ego thing. Like, and everyone's got
no. I recognize that.
Everyone,
I'm definitely aware of it.
Everyone has like a certain level of ego, and I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not gonna do a deep dive into this. But obviously, everyone's got a certain level of ego, and I think a lot of stuff in video games and fighting games specifically is linked to ego. Like it's all, that's why like team games are so popular, like League and stuff, because you can shield your ego by blaming your teammates. Whereas in Melee, there's no shield except yourself. So I think a lot of Melee players get really down on themselves, especially like when they don't meet their own expectations or when people overtake them. I think the basic answer is you have to not let it. You have to just not care about what other people are doing. In terms of when someone really good comes out of nowhere, like if they've got the time to put in, they could have so many situations that mean that their practice is better than yours and that they have the potential to improve at a faster rate, for example. Like they might have the best player in the region is always plays with them, or they just have a significant, if they've got 20 hours of free time to play Melee a week and you've got 5 hours, then your practice would have to be 4 times as efficient to maintain, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just, and basically stuff like that is just, you kind of have to just like lie to your brain or tell your brain whatever it needs to hear to make it okay. And whatever it basically, I just create like internal Johns, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to share them with anyone, but you're just like, you're telling them to yourself, and even if you don't really believe them, like you're just telling them to yourself to make it feel less bad. And I don't want to go into like, and maybe that's not the best thing to do, but I think it's helpful for me to be like, oh well, this guy's getting rapidly better than me because I'm not taking the game. I haven't played the game super seriously for 3 months or something, or I've not put this guy. I know this guy. I see this guy on searching for games on the EU server at every hour of the day. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like coming up with stuff like that. I know that's a very vague bit of tip to give, but maybe something like that could help.
This is a question that I've been asking myself a lot over the past year. Like ego, how to control it. I've gone through a lot of different variations of what the actual answer might be. At first it was, how do I kill my ego? But I don't think that's a sustainable mindset.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, because sometimes I think you want some ego because the ego also gives you like confidence and self-belief, right? In like I am good enough to beat this person because of the time I've been putting in. So
it's also just not something that's possible, I think. Like our ego is a part of us. It's impossible. You're repressing it. You're not killing it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's impossible to kill it.
Yes, that's what I'm going for with like control on here.
Yeah. So recently, like the past month, I think what my recent mentality has been is not trying to kill my ego, but trying to coexist with my ego in a healthy way. And it's hard to find the balance, but yeah, I'm trying. I don't know. It's difficult to
I think it's something to like keep track of and try and be aware of it and just come up with whatever ways you can to deal with it. And I think any way that works is valid, because I don't think there is a hard and fast answer to this sort of thing. Yeah, and it's different for everyone, basically.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, that's about controlling it. Exposure, so just going into dealing with nerves specifically, exposing yourself to situations, and maybe you can sort of do that more from sometimes you go down versus someone in unranked, and it's like maybe you just go, okay, I'm going to really try and win this one from behind and try and treat it in my brain like a tournament game, you know?
Yeah.
So that's like a way to make a bit of use out of unranked in this sense, or doing serious sets with people and just trying to tell yourself this is serious, and like dealing with the nerves that creates.
Yeah. I have a little bit of input on this, actually.
Yeah, sure.
The way that I operate inversely. What I mean by that is I don't usually play relaxed. I am 99.9% of the time always just in tournament mode.
Okay.
So for me, the problem isn't trying to get into tournament mode. It's trying to come out of it, I suppose. I need to find a way to relax and not take the game seriously.
Okay. I think the best way to start that is if you've got like people that you play with online. If you're really struggling to like relax when playing the game at all, having people that you play with frequently and voice chat to is useful, because I think it's a lot. Or if you are at a position where you can play in person with people, I feel like that helps a lot. But yeah, talking to people whilst you play is useful. Or if you just the other obvious one to me is just like listening to music, like listening to relaxing. Do you just have game sounds or anything?
I tend to listen to relaxing music, yeah.
Okay.
And I also do talk to people. Yeah, I do all of that. I guess it's just that sometimes I can't stop myself from entering tournament mode, and I don't know. It's I think maybe I just have to accept that maybe I can't repress it all the time, you know?
Yeah. Do you enter like a lot of online tournaments and stuff? Like, is it because you get some people who are really serious in friendlies, and that's because friendlies are all they ever do. So that's like the highest stakes. That's the highest stakes thing that they're regularly involved in. So their default is quite high. Whereas if you enter tournaments and you can kind of separate it out, because you've got this, you're like, okay, this is my serious thing when I enter tournaments. Then the friendlies become less important.
Yeah. I've made it a habit to enter a tournament once a week.
Yeah.
And the past month, I have been entering tournaments as often as I can. So that's like either 3 tournaments a week or maybe 4 tournaments a week sometimes.
Okay. Just trying to think of like ideas for separating it out if like you're really struggling to relax at all.
Yeah.
I think just maybe if you feel like doing like that many tournaments a week is stressful and you're at like max stress in like all of them, then maybe like having a couple of days where it's like, okay, these are my relaxing melee days after the tournament, and then I go back into tournament mode before, and you're going to do like 3 days of tournaments in a row, for example, and then you'd have 2 days of like a day off from melee, and then do sort of like a warm up to the tournament, but not super serious. Or maybe picking one tournament as like this is the serious tournament this week because it's on a weekend, so I've not got university or work or whatever you do. Yeah. Just trying to separate it out a bit, but this is another one where it's like whatever works for you, basically. Yeah. I think we're whatever we come up with is basically going to be us both throwing ideas around, and us and you just have to try them out and see what works for you.
Okay. All right. I'll probably try to make Sunday tournament day, and then from there I'll just, I'll play in tournaments more casually and have some days where it's just maybe no melee or a little bit of melee, but like secondaries with whichever secondary I choose to play that day.
Yeah, maybe the weekday ones are just like, okay, these are like practice matches. Like you don't even view them as in a way you don't even view them as like a reflection of your abilities, because Sunday is the one where you really make an effort, Yeah.
Okay.
And the weekday ones are just sort of like if you're just having a kickabout with your mates, basically. They're just for keeping warm,
Yeah. Okay.
Might be helpful. I guess try it and see if it works. If it doesn't, then we can revisit this. But it is all just coming up with ideas and seeing what sticks, because it's not like a yes no question.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's a good. So let's do. We'll do action point. try using weekday tournaments as practice spaces. And one tournament week the serious tournament. I just like to put like action points down with like things for you to tick off and see, just sort of like distill the lesson down a bit. Okay, so let's go over point 1 a bit. Let's talk about Sheik in general and some general rules. So I'm going to put a little section down here. Sheik Ditto. Could you summarize what your game plan is in the Sheik Ditto? Like, what is your general plan? If you've got specific things you're looking for, if there's specific percents you're looking for, and just sort of have like a 2 or 3, just a quick summary. If you were going to explain to someone new to Sheik how they would play versus Sheik.
How they would play versus Sheik.
Like what should their general idea of the matchup be?
I think the 2 biggest points to focus on for the Sheik Ditto are platforms and needles around platforms. And point 2 would be crouch cancel usage. I think these are the 2 most defining points of what makes a Sheik Ditto operate as a Sheik Ditto at a high level.
Okay, cool. I would add to that just aerial usage in general.
Yeah.
Just because I think from watching this stuff here, I think your aerial usage was something that was lacking a bit more than these. I think the crouch cancel you identified. I think your platform usage was okay, but the other guy was moving around better than you. And I think having an idea of what to do when the other guy, I think that sometimes you play someone that's like, oh, this guy is just moving faster than me.
Yeah.
And you need to sort of have like a backup plan for that as well, because I think similar to if you're playing Fox Dittos, like Foxes play differently, so you'd need to have a plan for an aggressive Fox. Well, even a Sheik, you need to have a different plan for an aggressive Fox to how you have a plan for a defensive Fox. And I think this guy you played against was a pretty defensive Sheik.
Definitely.
And I'm not sure if you have a specific like sort of like a sub plan for a defensive Sheik. I'm not sure if maybe you're used to Sheiks running at you a bit more. What
I definitely am. I've played a lot of Sheiks. I've even played like good Sheiks like Max and Sail, and both of them are very, very in your face, very aggressive.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for both those players.
So I've never had to deal with sitting on. I've always found that a point of frustration in the matchup has always been, what do I do about needle? Like when a Sheik, because it's weird. This matchup is weird. This matchup is a lot about if one Sheik decides to retreat to platform, so they're both playing in center stage. They're both scrapping, and then one Sheik just decides to run off to side platform.
Yeah, one of them can
turn around needles. All of a sudden, they have the positional advantage, just like that.
Yeah.
So one point of frustration for me has always been that I don't understand how to deal with that.
Okay.
And that's definitely the point where I think I'm the weakest, because when I see a Sheik is retreating to platforms a lot and charging needles a lot, I also become more afraid to stick to my game plan, which is, especially for the Sheik Ditto, it's a lot of bear.
Yeah.
I think back air is a really powerful move. It's like you do bear, and then once the person has adapted to bear, you do run up crouch cancel.
Yeah.
Aggressively. That's how I view the matchup. And for some reason, needles are never a part of the equation for me. And I think that's also why it's a point of frustration, because I don't understand how I can gain positional advantage by doing that retreating needle. So since I don't do it, I also don't understand how to beat it.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good starting point. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one of these. We'll start working through the VODs basically. We'll specifically think about sort of narrowing this plan down into here's how we use these tools to deal with defensive Sheik, or ideas we can do, things maybe we can just refine a bit for dealing with defensive Sheik. And also we're gonna look. These are the things basically I just from an initial review. This is sort of how I break down. This is a very, very broad how I break down issues when I'm doing a review.
Okay.
So we'll go through the video. I'll pause on the bits that I want to pause on, and we'll talk about it. Or if there's something I think is interesting, I'll pause and look at it. If there's stuff that see how loud this is? Yeah, that's fine. If there's stuff that you want to stop and talk about, and I'm going past and I've skipped past something that you want to go back over, just stop me and we'll roll it back 5 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Is this an okay size? You can see this okay?
Yeah, I can see just fine. Don't worry.
I think like so this happened a lot. You were doing these like pokes at the platform that are like really unsafe.
Yeah.
This looks like it should almost work, but that should work. You get close enough. He shields after you do the bear.
I have a really bad habit of being right outside of the opponent's range and then missing my move and just whiffing it.
Yeah, but it sort of like was a general thing where you do an attack on the platform and you're not. I think you are aware of it, but you're not ready for the other Sheik's follow-up options. So like where you land here, this is exactly where Sheik can just drop down and forward air.
Yeah.
I think just a bit of correction on the drift.
So specifically on that point, that's what I was talking about, right? When I play versus, I feel like this situation happened a lot where I ended up right under platform. Joe Fish is charging needles. I end up right under platform after whipping an aerial, and then I just get the fair grab.
Yeah,
I think what I should have done instead is crouch at the point where I land.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is like a panic thing because this happens. I think you try to jump and like you must jump because otherwise you're gonna be.
Yeah, I jumped.
I think jumping is probably like the worst thing you can do there because if you just rolled, like my options would either be go for the crouch cancel because they're probably going to fare there and then you can punish them for it, or just roll away. Like you can just hold shield and roll away.
Yeah.
Because the only thing you're really worried about is getting grabbed, I'd say.
Definitely.
And they can't grab you if you roll from there because it's just too far.
Okay.
Yeah, good. I like that.
I was also really nervous this entire set, so a lot of punishes were dropped for sure.
Yeah, that'll happen. I think that does show a bit. So like, you missed the regrab there. This is an okay follow up though. I think you could just run off there, just as a point.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that would hit, or just go for the ledge. I think this nair doesn't really cover much. It's okay. This is something I wanted to point out. This happens a few times. You give a bit too much space to Sheik on the ledge. Sometimes it's just a bit too much, and sometimes it's a lot too much.
Okay.
But like, you run all the way back to here. This one kind of works, but I think you get a bit lucky with a call out there because you react to him doing a tournament winner. But sort of like you're doing like a dash dance over here, and he can't really. The furthest Sheik can threaten is about here, I'd say.
Yeah.
Just sort of this will come up again, I think. There's a very weird upper. What happens here? And I think sometimes, so this happened at the very start of the game, just swinging at nothing, and I think again here. He's not showing you anything that means this forward air should hit. Sorry if I'm not explaining that super well, but you've got him over there. You come down here.
And just fair nothing.
Yeah, just because I think you can see he's shielding this fair. Even if it hits his shield, I think is not really going to do anything. And then do you jump again? You do like a jump straight after him. Yeah, jumping into him.
Yeah.
So I think this is something I identified in game 2. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here, but this was sort of like a lack of respect for your opponent's options.
Okay.
And I think you've correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you've decided that this is your turn, just like to take from like traditional fighting game lingo, but like.
Yeah.
You've done your forward air here, that's missed, and then you've gone, okay, well I'm still on the attack, so I'm going to keep pushing forward, and I'm going to jump at him, and I'm going to do another aerial. But this is because Sheik's so good off platforms. Against some characters, this would be correct. If this was Samus, I'd say yeah, go ahead and keep aerialing them on the platform, you know.
Yeah.
But I think just like once you've missed the area, you've sort of got to like take a bit more time, maybe not more time, but just you've got to recognize at least. Okay, this isn't my advantage anymore. I need to think about what they can do next.
Yeah.
Can I just jump at them?
Yeah.
Again, this is another situation where you could have just crouch cancelled, like you said, and you would have got a nice opening. It's chain grab. It's fine. I would say just. Sorry, you go.
Go. Oh, okay. I was trying to wiggle the eye here and do Nair.
Okay.
Which I'm not very sure if it's the right option, but it felt right at the time.
I would say I don't really see it work very often if people are good at the chain grab, especially at this percent. My general thought here my general thoughts on getting chain grabs are go for a platform as soon as possible. I think you've got an option at this sort of percent that you would get on this platform.
Okay.
But you take that away from yourself by DIing over there. Or you just go off stage as early as possible and just minimise the damage. There's a good shark. Again here, I think this is the one that made me think about it. Like this is too much.
This is probably a Marth that's carried over from a habit that's carried over from Marth. Well, I like to CC a lot at ledge.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work for every character, but it works for Marth. So what I was thinking here is, well, I could just run up and CC at ledge, and then I was like, I'm at 107%. That's not going to work. So what do I do?
My general thoughts on this. So I quite like moving between these two platforms here. Like if I sort of sit on this platform, you can threaten aerials, which is useful. And you can also threaten run off needle to cut them out if they're running forward. But if you're sort of in this area in shield, if they try and jump and swing at you from the edge, then you can do a lot with the platform here. It kind of works. It basically works in the same way that you want the crouch cancel to work, right? The crouch cancel is you're waiting for them to swing a move, and then you punish it in the same way you'd use a shield drop here to let them swing a move and punish it, or sort of dash dance in this area. I know dash dancing with Sheik is not great, but even doing like a wave dash where you just do wave dash back and forward in this sort of area is okay. But I just think you're giving way too much respect here.
It's actually made me think of. So I actually watched a lesson of yours with Amsa.
Yeah.
And this exact point actually came up, and at the moment I said I should be crouch canceling, it actually made me realize he brought up a point where he said if you're afraid of Marth at high percent, you just shield with your back against him on platform.
Yeah.
And then you just bear the moment they come off it. Or they come off ledge, specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would fully apply that to this as well. Because by running with it, because what you're worried about is losing neutral, right? And I would much rather lose neutral and get hit, because you're going to get hit over this way to the left.
Yeah.
I would much rather lose neutral and get hit to the left from over here than in the middle of the stage. Because if you get hit in the middle of the stage, you're probably dead. Whereas if you get hit in the middle, this side of the stage, you can probably get to the ledge and have another try at the stock. But if you lose neutral in the middle here, you're probably done at this percent.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same situation over here. As long as you don't go so close that they just use invincibility and hit you. Yeah, it's good needles. I think you're applying pressure in a nice way there. What happened? What exactly happens here?
I think I overextended a bit too late.
Yeah, he just decides to dash attack out the corner and you're not quite ready for it. This I didn't like at all. This is my second point here, not recovering to ledge when given the option. So this is kind of like how confident you in your ledge options and getting up from the ledge, as sort of like with frames or just using the ledge in general. But here he gives you the ledge. You could drop low and then just go to it, unless he does like a hard cover out of nowhere. You see. And then
my confidence with ledge definitely changes depending on the situation.
Okay. But I think we can definitely agree this jump in is not great. Like a double jump to state. Bad. Yeah. So maybe not specifically ledge, but like you could do this and then drop straight down. But yeah, the air dodge kind of just he was covering this without the air dodge, I think.
Yeah.
Like the air dodge isn't specifically the bad bit.
I don't remember if this starts from stock one. Oh, it definitely. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
I think what he's doing is fine there though. Like I know it's annoying.
No, I agree. It's just very, very frustrating to deal with.
I wouldn't even count this as a long time. Like I've.
No, it went really long for like I don't remember which game. I don't remember which stock, but it went on for a really long time sometimes.
Okay. I personally think that's like a mentality thing, and I used to get annoyed by stuff like this, but the way I view it is like 8 minutes is not a long time, and a melee game, 4 minutes, which is like an average melee game, is an even shorter time. Like if someone stalls for 10 seconds, it's really
not that much. Yeah,
it's not a lot of time, and it's kind of like I don't know. He only stalls for like 5 seconds here, I think, and then he goes back on stage. Like really, I know this probably feels like a long time and annoying.
Yeah, it feels like a long time in the context of like in-game melee, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that maybe that feeds back into like if you're having trouble relaxing in a game, it would feel like a really long time, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're I think you deal with this really well. Like, even though you said it sounds like this annoyed you, this specific situation. But like you'd wait, you chase him down, he does a terrible needle, and then you kill him for it. You should kill him for it. Yeah, you should kill him for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you played that. This is like a mentality thing a bit, I guess. Just try and do you not do this sort of stall yourself ever?
No, I'm definitely a very fast-paced player that likes to scrap the moment I can.
Okay. I would say experiment with it a bit and see if you really don't like doing it. I'm not going to say like, oh, you need to stall, but if you're feeling nervous during a stock and you are in between stocks, just using it as like a chance to take a breath and like a little rethink is pretty useful.
Yeah.
Especially, and then it's even more useful if you think your opponent's going to get annoyed by it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's something you have to do, but as long as tournaments aren't going to implement good ledge grab limits, then this is a tool that you have available to slow the game down to your benefit and hopefully annoy your opponent, but at least definitely give yourself some time to sort of slow down and think about the game, and it'll just get your breathing under control or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's some matchups where it's bad because they can just take the ledge. Like Fox, it's not very good against because he's so fast at getting the ledge, or Falcon is pretty good at getting the ledge. But
yeah,
some characters really can't take it from you because he uses it perfectly here. Like he uses it until you get annoyed. Like you feel like you have to go in and I have to do something about it. You mess up your timing, and you take 27%.
I don't get the kill here, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah, what could we do here instead?
Nair?
You could just run up down
not
smash.
Yeah.
Once you've grabbed, I don't think you can follow up off down throw here. I might be wrong. I'm not super good on this situation myself. But I think if they DI away, I don't think you can get it.
Yeah, Alex throwing a stock, yeah.
Yeah, maybe just forward throw instead, just to get them as far away as possible, and then grab ledge, force them to up B.
Yeah.
But you still get ledge first, so and you'd be able to punish anything they do there. It's not terrible. Little mechanical mistake, really good back
that was some very unfortunate snapback that I've been dealing with recently.
So what's this? Oh, wait, you don't get the ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you get the situation. Off this bear, what are you thinking about once this bear hits? Like, because you just run through him, and I'm not sure why.
What am I thinking about that bear? I'm thinking regain percent lead because this matchup is very frustrating for me. So in my mind, as long as I have percent lead, I don't really care. I'm thinking that if I have a percent lead, I can time someone out. I
think that really contradicts what you were saying about like how you use. I don't think you've ever timed anyone out in your life.
Yeah, I have it's very strange. It's very conflicting because on one end I'm thinking get the percent lead and just maintain it and then just time them out, and then on the other hand I'm also like, wow, I have a Falco as a practice partner, so I need to be scrapping constantly.
Yeah, right, that gives me a decent idea. I think you need to sort of reframe your... try and reframe your win condition for this matchup a bit, because scale it back, objective of the game is get as much percent as possible and kill your opponent. So maybe try and reframe it a bit to... I think this matchup in NTSC is very swingy. So if you're confident in your punish game and scrapping, if that's the thing you think you're good at, then you should be kind of happy to give up percent to force those scenarios. If you could give up 50% in eating, if you took up 50% just taking bears and fairs, but you didn't get grabbed, and then eventually taking all that percent, you got the crouch cancel grab you were looking for, and you did 90% to them off that grab, which is honestly not that unrealistic, because the chain grab's ridiculous. That would be worth it, and I think you're just a bit too scared of losing the lead because you just don't like the matchup.
Yeah.
But maybe we just because you get this bear and he's in an awful position here.
I could just turn around and grab.
Yeah, you could grab if you're not confident in the grab. You could forward tilt. There's a lot you could do here. And
my usual follow-up would be a second bear, I think, but that's probably the weakest option.
It would get you a hit. It would get you more than this. It would get you a hit, but you probably wouldn't. If you forward tilt him here, you can probably grab after the forward tilt, or just forward tilt again if they don't hold away.
Oh my god, how did I miss that?
That's what I mean.
An opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I think then you're playing his game. You know that he's a defensive player, and you do these needles. I think you jump into these ones. Yeah, I'm just this bit. I was like,
yeah, frustration, a lot of frustration.
Yeah. If this is not the optimal way to play the matchup, obviously.
Definitely not
for either of you. If this is not something you want to do, you should not be doing this because your opponent is happier to do it probably, and I feel like this even doing this, I think doing this even if you were beating him at this, I think you'd still be getting annoyed at this.
Yeah.
So you get your needles. Here's what you should have done straight away without taking that second stack of needles. Just run up and take some advantage. He does a pretty bad... Yeah, and you get a grab off it.
Oh, what was that?
Yeah, he somehow has these. But it just sort of I know this works out because you get... but it's just stupid, this stock.
It never should have worked
But
out.
what I'm trying to say is if this is not... how you want to play the matchup, platform to platform throwing needles, don't do it. If you're gonna play the needle throwing game, you could take top platform and throw needles down at him diagonally so that he's got no recourse. He can't throw needles back up at you diagonally, right? Like you could take. Can you imagine?
That would be ridiculous.
That'd be crazy. I'd love to play Sheik that can throw needles and like
just imagine the Fox edge guards.
The same way Fox can angle up bees. If you could throw needles like in every. That'd be cool. But yeah, if you want to play the needle throwing game, like use advantages, like throw them down at them diagonally. Don't do this. This is I don't think this is going to work out in your favor.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to play his game a lot, which is just a mistake.
Yeah. So you go to the edge. I agree with going to the edge here. You mess up this. This is still fine. And then I think you try to you think you've got a chance to act. I don't think he pushes you off here. What exactly happened?
I got dash tagged. Then I got pushed off.
Yeah. Is that a push off? Okay.
Yeah, it's straight up push off.
Okay. This is kind of fine. Nair's good. Right, what happens here? I kind of like this. That Nair's really good. That foot forward air's great. I think up air's not the choice here, but I think you know that.
Yeah. No.
Unless you're maybe going for the back foot poke here, but...
I was, but the move of choice should have been back air.
Yeah, another good Nair. This was good play, mostly. Where it goes wrong, so this is kind of like you've burned your... I think you've lost your double jump here. No, you do land just before he gets it.
I think I burned it.
But this is you trying to push a bit too much. Like you do a double jump up here. And I think maybe you're looking for him to jump up to here. And you're not changing... Once you've decided I'm going to do this jump, you're not changing your plan. You're not reacting to what he's doing. If that makes sense.
The intention was actually... So I saw that he's going for center, so the intention was to do turnaround needles.
Okay.
And just do a grab, but obviously I failed it, so...
Yeah, I'd say once you see him go... Once you see them go away, you can't be throwing out this bear.
I know exactly what happened there. Wow, yeah, it's not a controller issue there. I just fat-fingered A instead of B there.
Okay.
Yikes.
Yeah, Needle would have been good there, I guess. Yeah, Needle would have been ideal there because you'd have hit him and knocked him out of this. If that was you genuinely weren't going for that back air, then it's fine.
Yeah, no,
good
that
roll
was not the
in.
intention.
As soon as you've got your needles, I'd say push on him here. If you want to run away here. But like if you want to charge your needles, once you've got your needles, don't then do the runaway. Like you could just run up. He's probably going to keep charging here.
Yeah, most likely.
And I think you're close enough that this is maybe too fast for him to react to. I don't think he can drop needle, get up a shield. Maybe he can, but you could. I think you could push this a bit, especially with like a well-spaced aerial.
Yeah. Instead, I go for that.
Yeah, and just punish you straight for it. Just a missed grab.
What happened? I jumped there. Oh.
Have you jumped? You must have jumped into the forward air, or just missed the timing. Maybe you tried to jump closer and it's done. Here you just like let him pass you for nothing. I think if you're standing at this space, this is what you need to think about. What are his options here, basically?
Ledge dash up tilt. If it's a good ledge dash grab, ledge dash rush to stage. Could jump up air. No, not jump up aerial. Maybe. Actually, I think that's just about it.
Yeah, he doesn't have especially because of he can't really dash attack because you're a zero.
Yeah, it's a bad idea, but
maybe don't want to overanalyze this too much because it's a quick situation. but just like being aware of what their options are and what options are a threat. So if he jumps up to platform here, that's not an immediate problem. If he runs up and grabs you, that's like the one thing you really have to watch out for.
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably even if he runs up tilts you, you could crouch cancel that. I don't think there's the only really big problem here if he just grabbed you.
Yeah.
So I think just like being ready, have like the most awful thing that could happen as like the first thing you react to, and having that like loaded. Like if you see him just run forwards, then you F tilt, or just down smash just to get them off. And then everything else you should be able to kind of react to because you've sort of simplified the situation a bit. Obviously, I don't know exactly what you're thinking about here, but and the core of it is I just think you should be able to react to this
kind of option.
This roll in, yeah. Again, just trying to jump at something. That's a good nair from ledge. Good crouch cancel, but don't get the dash attack, I guess.
It was just a lot of nerves. This is what I'm talking about, right? Like I get really nervous and I execute the first part of what I want to do, and then I just absolutely flub the second one.
Okay. Do you find that like when you, when you mess up, when you don't get the thing you want to go to, so like when he got that roll down on you, you did a jab and then you did the down smash afterwards. Was that because you're like, oh, I should have done this, and you kind of, part of your brain is like, oh, maybe if I do it, it might still hit. I think maybe you need to sort of accept, okay, I've messed up, but I'm gonna let it go and not make the problem worse by forcing something that's not there.
Yeah. So my panic options in general are jab and down smash. Jab because it's if I mess something up, I think this also comes from the Falco practice that I get. If I mess something up in spacing, wave dash back jab will usually...
It covers you, right? And it's not too high commitment.
Besides that, it's also just a really good hitbox to throw out for a grab that like leads into a grab.
Yeah.
So I think my default panic option is, oh, I messed something up. I'm either going to down smash because I want to reset neutral, or I'm going to jab because I'm looking for a grab.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah, so maybe that reaction was kind of more of a mentality thing of just like a not panicking just because here you do playing this game. Sorry. You get that, you get the grab, and you just mess it, and then you kind of give up the advantage that you have got by doing this down smash.
It's at that point I can say, knowing myself, I don't remember what I was thinking, but knowing myself, what I'm thinking is the risk or reward seems awful because of the percent, so I'm just going to like let a down smash rip, and I'm not gonna like play the advantage.
Okay.
Because the advantage could still somehow be a losing situation, you know.
Okay. Right, I think there's a lot of useful stuff in there though. So let's just have some general ideas. Maybe this isn't specific defensive Sheik stuff. I've kind of got a bit sidetracked.
Yeah.
But initial things I think we can consider for this matchup are making sure to press advantage state. Includes training aerials, stage control, and ledge scenarios. So this is kind of encompasses a couple of things that I was talking about. So being ready for your stray aerials to hit and to convert off them, and not just going, okay, that's an aerial. Sort of reacting to it after it hits and seeing where they go, because you can react to, okay, you hit them but they stayed on the platform, so I need to shield, or I've hit them and they've slidden off the platform, so I can punish, sort of thing. Stage control is specifically, this was just like a couple of times in the game I feel like you sort of run away and you're playing their game.
Yeah.
if that's something that you want to do then and get more comfortable with, and you're happy to play the matchup a bit more lane, air quotes around lane, then that's something you can get more comfortable with, but I don't think that's something you want to do. So, and if they're giving you the whole stage, then get used to taking it from them. And the ledge scenarios was like a specific example of that, where you're giving up a bit too much space and maybe affording them a bit too much respect when they've not really earned it. Like, I don't think at any point Joe Fish showed, oh yeah, I'm hitting amazing ledge dashes where I'm getting all the intangibility frames I possibly can, and then doing a perfect invincible F tilt. You know, like I don't think he gave you a reason to respect him from ledge. I think all the stuff he got from ledge was you either giving him too much space or deciding you needed to take the ledge from him when you could just wait it out. Other ideas, so try not to... I don't want to phrase this incorrectly, but what I'm trying to get at is we're trying to... Does that make sense? So if you eat 40% of back airs and that gets you the grab that you want, then it's worth it. And I think you're overly... This might be a bit back to the mentality thing, but I think you're overly focused on, okay, I've got a lead, I need to play the lead.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe we can just sort of try and think about that a bit differently. And if you don't want to be at the point where you're like, oh, I'm down in percent, and now I desperately need to run in and get the lead back, because that's probably how you're getting frustrated and part of how you're getting beaten, because you're just desperate to get the lead back a bit. Does that match up with what you think?
Yeah, that's basically that's basically it. Okay.
I want like a third point, but I'm trying to think of like a general ideas. Diagonal needle usage. So instead of playing like a flat needle game, like if you get your full needle stack, let's try and use it to approach them from above on a platform.
Okay.
Just because then you're cutting out their advantage is the shield drop. That's Sheik's advantage when she's on platform, and if you're approaching her from above, it's not quite as powerful. Because if you're on platform and they can't, you have a lot more control over your drift. You can do the diagonal needles, which means you could get a grab possibly. And if they shield drop off the platform and hit you, you can then drop through the platform straight away afterwards and hit them back. That is obviously very percentage dependent. But just an idea, maybe. What's like another idea? How is he getting his openings for the most part? I think all his openings seem to be off of your
mistakes.
Your approach, maybe not mistakes, but just approaches. Just you going, here's an approach, and then he's picking the correct reaction to it. I think I do agree with you that I think a lot of it would be resolved if you're intentionally eating percent to get percent. So you do a forward air on the platform instead of trying to do the safest bear you can, or an air, for example, do a forward air that you know is unsafe, but you purposely do like a forward air as low as you can on their shield. You fast fall it afterwards. You then start holding down because you're already fast falling because you want them to hit you.
Yeah, so I can just get a grab.
So you can just get a grab. So I think being a bit more confident in what you're doing and purposely eating percent. So just sort of 18%. Yep. I know that's kind of a... I can't spell things. I know it's kind of a bit of a repeat of this one, but I think just situations like that where you purposely take some damage and that's like a... I think the issues are coming from because I don't think you really know how to get you don't have ideas for how to get an opening when the character has the same options as you.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you kind of just have to like trick them basically, because you can't outspace them because you can't abuse anything because they have the same things to use on you. So yeah, just having like that as an initial idea of something to use to get an opening. Maybe more use of dash dances could be another idea, because I don't think I saw you really doing many dash dances at all, and I think in the Ditto the dash dance can be pretty good.
Yeah.
Because the main reason Sheik's dash dance is bad is because if you're dash dancing versus a fox, their dash dance is a lot bigger than yours, but if you're dash dancing versus a Sheik, it actually becomes usable because they can't out dash dance you, you know?
Yeah.
So experiment, use a dash dance. See. Okay, so there's some ideas. Something I wanted to mention up here: stages to mitigate weaknesses. I basically on the second. We don't really have time to go over the second game in detail, but I think I didn't really think Battlefield helped you too much.
Yeah.
I think if you want to play the matchup more aggressive, then try Yoshi's or maybe Fountain can be quite good.
Okay.
Just because you can be more in their face because it's a smaller stage. Or if your real problem is, I always get hit off platforms, then maybe try FD even. I know FD's kind of like a dynamite grenade pick in the matchup because chain grabs are ridiculous on that stage more than any.
Yeah.
But if they are just platform camping you do have an option where you can get rid of the platforms completely.
Yeah, maybe that. Maybe we could try that.
Yeah, so just trying, but that's I would experiment with that in friendlies as much as you can, but just like have a more of a feeling for how you feel about the stages.
Okay. Yeah, I need to. Unfortunately, I don't really have any Sheiks to play with.
Yeah, so one of the things on the Patreon, I think a lot of people don't know this. Get rid of that. On the Patreon, there is like, how do I get to it? It is like, so this is for everyone, I think. It does say you can like play with your coach, basically. One set versus coach. Instead of doing a set, what I normally do with people is we just play for half an hour and sort of talk about it as we go along, because I think that's more useful.
Ooh. Okay.
So if we just do like a little session at some point this month, and we can use that to feed into the next lesson, or we can just talk about it and make some like quick notes afterwards. Just like, so I'll just show you. I was talking to my other guy, and we did like a quick session, and these were just some quick notes that I gave him to have a think about afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. I'll.
So yeah, we can do that at some point this month if you've got time, just maybe at the weekend.
No. I'll definitely request it because that sounds good. I really don't have any. I either have Sheiks that I beat, or I have Sheiks that beat the crap out of me. So I don't really have like a consistent practice partner or like someone who can give me notes and ideas on the matchup.
Yeah, we'll just like play it and sort of just come up with some general ideas of things that are just like immediate things that we're noticing, or I can try playing like a specific way to force you to deal with scenarios or whatever you like, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So yeah, we'll try that. Sorry, I've not really made many specific action points. Normally I come up with a few more, but I think we just didn't really get a chance to go too much into the self-analysis stuff. But hopefully hopefully going through that's giving you like an idea of how I break down games.
Yeah, that gave me a decent idea.
Like I'm really not focusing at all on any tech error. If I see a tech error, like I'm just like, oh well, that happened. Like it's not.
Okay.
It's like I'm not gonna dwell on it, but I might if I miss loads of ledge dashes on a tournament, I might practice them a bit more the following week, you know, or like change my practice schedule a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you're mostly just looking. I'm mostly just looking at like how am I getting my openings and how are they getting their openings, and I think we can sort of look that really, they were very rarely pressuring you into anything.
Yeah.
And you were basically giving them an easier time than you maybe needed to.
Yeah.
Because you were just giving them weak approaches.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay, not trying to be like harsh. Sorry, you sounded.
No. I get it. I'm trying to internalize all this, and I'm trying to think about how I can digest this and how I can incorporate this as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, it's a process as always, but
yeah.
Hopefully, there's some useful ideas on there.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. I'm going to stop recording there. If that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.